So there you go in the background, that's my nephew Alex working on his tracks with my niece Hannah playing piano. In fact, the first thing I've done here, gradually taking shape little bit by little bit. However, that's not what I'm here to talk about. This isn't live, obviously, because I have no internet here, which as it should be if you're working in the studio. No distractions. Okay, so over the last couple of days we've pretty much had a big meeting sorting out the next 4 months of Show of Hands and all of that fun. I'm just going to turn this down a bit more. I'm sure Alex won't mind being background music just for the moment. Okay, so so the last 48 hours, it literally is the sort of scenario where this year is in the can as far as I'm concerned. Show of Hands runs pretty much to the end of May, apart from, and I'm recanting here slightly because I said I wouldn't do any festivals at all. There are 2, maybe 3 festival dates that I will be involved in. One possibly being Sidmouth, with possibly with Paul Downs, and what's the other one? Can't remember what the other one is. There is another one in this. Oh yes, that's right. Also with Paul Downs, we'll be doing another 50 years anniversary type thing in conjunction with the Chester Folk Club at the Chester Folk Festival. So there. And there will be 1 or 2 other gigs, but mostly I shall be in here, which will all be finished then, and all the sound panelling will be up, beavering away, attempting to finally get the box set uninterruptedly sorted and finished by the end of August so that I can get it manufactured and so on. So fingers crossed. And then there are a smattering of gigs in September, a smattering of gigs in October, a tour with the trio, the bluesy trio with Miranda and Sean, and then there'll be the usual Christmas run. The Christmas run will be slightly extended this time. Yeah, there'll be a few more gigs in that in December. But already we're looking at the planning for next year, the following year. So let's get all this stuff absolutely clear. I'm going to be gigging, solo gigging, still represented by Firebrand, okay, and all that, and all the contacts, all the details will be coming up shortly on the website, my new website, Phil Beer Music, which is days away, I tell you. Before we take the Show of Hands sabbatical, we have 2 more Costa events. We will be, for the last time, for the foreseeable future, the house band once again opening and closing in Ibiza. A sad thing in a way, because we've had such a strong connection with the whole Harmony Voyages sort of enjoy travel thing. So my thanks to all of those lovely people. I think there's hardly any of those events that we haven't both opened and closed, so we have kind of performed the role of being the house band, as it were. So regret we won't be at Portugal in September, October. Terribly sorry. That's the way it goes, my dears. But I'm sure we'll be back at some point. And also, there's no harm in mentioning the Rhone voyage again. Although it's sold out, I don't think anything's changed there. So, which will be us, together with our friend Seth Lakeman and Mr. Lakeman Sr. and the wonderful Rob Murch. So thoroughly looking forward to that. That's going to be fun. Anyway, onwards. The most important thing is that I'm going to be gigging all the way through next year, but it will be limited to about 4 or 5 gigs a month. Not the kind of schedule that I've kept up for the last God knows how long. I shudder to think how long, you know, we've been sort of saying, oh yeah, we'll just do a few gigs, and then it just ended up with thousands of them. It's a bit like last September when I think I said, okay, I'll do this 6 or 7 gigs, and I don't know how it happened. It turned into 16 gigs. Bonkers, you know, getting too old. Anyway, so the primary reason why I'm putting this out is just to try and plan it from a slightly different viewpoint. Okay, folks? So tell your friends, anyone who's interested at all. We get constant complaints from people because they don't understand how this is structured. So it's structured in a few ways. Okay, what comes in first are the gigs that come in. They're the promoters, the venues, the people that contact you saying, "Give us a gig." Okay, so that's the basis usually of what's going on, and then what happens is that somebody like Vicky, and in this case for me, she'll continue to do this, will attempt to put other gigs in around those gigs, stringing them together. I think one of the most constant things that we get a number of times a year is from people who don't understand how this works. You know, I think the most virulent one, and I'm going to quote it, and I hope it doesn't offend the person who might have sent it. "Once again, you have decided not to play blah blah blah." No, we have not decided not to play anywhere. It's because A, there isn't a gig available to us. B, there is a gig available to us, but it can't fit the schedule, right? It can't be worked in. You know, and some people look at our date sheet and think that we do some pretty mad journeys. If we responded to every gig sort of request and things like that, it would be insane. We'd be finishing a gig, travelling through the night, just like our wonderful lorry driver does, in fact. Anyway, that's what he does, you know. But he, of course, can then go to sleep once he gets to the venue at 4 o'clock in the morning. That's a whole different thing. We can't. We've actually got to be in a state to gig. So, using this shorter show of hands tour as an example, for instance, we could not, I know it sounds strange, but we could not put together a coherent London date during that period. It just, either the venues that we would prefer to play weren't available, or they were available at a point which the gig could not logistically be made to work, you know. So whichever way around you look at it, that's what happens. So here we are, I'm treading on dangerous ground now. So for 2025, if you're living somewhere where I haven't done a solo gig for a long time and you can suggest a venue, we've probably got it on our copious venue list and it's probably going to be contacted at some point. I just went through the entire A list with Vicky yesterday, and you know, we already came up with 80 possible places to play. You know, I'm not going to do 80 gigs in 2025, you know. So we already have this list of gigs. What actually happens then is, if say one approaches all of those gigs, out of that 80 gigs, I'll actually get around 30 of them. And that's a combination of what I'm already talking about, whether they can be in any way, shape or form fitted together or made coherent. And obviously what you have to consider is the logistics of the fact that I live in Devon, okay? So if I'm going to drive to Northumbria, it's got to be worthwhile. I've got to know that, you know, I'm not going to lose my shirt on it. So it's as simple as that. Scotland's a different matter. It'll be very interesting with Steve's big solo tour later on in the year, because he's got some Scottish dates. And I sincerely hope that it all goes well. I'm constantly disappointed about nobody coming in from Scotland and offering anything, because there was a golden age when I seemed to be playing in Scotland all the time. That's pre-show of hands, you know, especially with the Arizonas and so on and so forth. We were up there all the time. And of course that's the era in which I made so many lovely Scottish friends as well. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. We'll wait and see what happens when Steve does those solo gigs. I'm sure it will be absolutely wonderful and lovely, and maybe it will open the door again. Okay, so apologies then to anyone north of the border. I'm not seeking Scottish gigs at this juncture. That's not to say I won't be in the future. Okay, so anyone who has any bright ideas, and it can be anything, it can be folk club, arts centre. Arts centres are the ideal gigs to play. Small theatres, arts centres, 100 to 200 seats. They are the optimum sort of size. Okay, and here's the thing. Once again, I will continue to work for percentages. Okay, there is no fee. You don't have to guarantee me a fee to come and play a gig. I've never done that anyway, and I'm gonna. Mostly, it works in my favour. Okay, in fact, it radically works in my favour sometimes. So what people have to do, and this unfortunately cuts out a lot of folk clubs, is charge a decent door price. And this is not a dig at folk clubs or anything like that, but an awful lot of them simply are reluctant to charge a realistic door price, you know. And in a sense, I understand that, and it is a shame, but it also makes it then impossible for me to play a lot of those types of gigs. Right, I can't be straighter than that, folks. So if you think I'm neglecting you in some way or other from the solo gig front, please just drop us a line and we will check out anything that anyone suggests. We'll check out absolutely anything, any promoter, any venue, and we will see if it's viable. If we can't service it, if I can't service it, then apologies. Can't be everywhere, can't do everything, you know, especially with all this going on at the moment, because the principal idea of having a separate studio again as opposed to a shed in the garden is firstly to literally do the thing of going to work in the morning again, which I think now is the right thing. It's that motivational thing. I have to go to a place that's 18 minutes away in order to work. And I think that's the only way any of this stuff is ever going to get done, you know, and so on. But already we haven't even put any sound panelling in yet or anything like that. And already, as you can hear, we're actually turning out music. And so I suspect also that I will be staying at this location and developing this little space into a small working studio, which would be marvellous, be absolutely marvellous, you know. And so we will see. Depends on how many copies of the box set I manage to sell. Obviously it's a hugely expensive thing to make because it will be a physical product, you know, and you won't be able to download it from any other source than me. You know, we'll put it up for download on my new website, but it will be a physical copy. So all you over 70s who still do CDs and stuff, that's what it's going to be, my dears. But I assure you it will be colourful. Right, I think I've covered everything there. So if you want me to play somewhere, please just, you know, drop Vicky a line, Vicky at firebrand.co.uk, firebrandmusic.co.uk. I will flag up the website coming online any day now, and then all the contact information will be there as well. I can't think of anything else. Oh. Anyway, if anyone's looking for a good fiddle player, guitarist, singer, my nephew Alex is looking for a gig. So we'll finish all this stuff and actually get it out and then see where we go. I believe I've covered it all. Take it easy, folks. Happy New Year and all the best.